Hello, everyone. We'll get started in just a minute here. All right, so it's 1 o'clock there, so we'll get started. Welcome everyone to our presentation today. So my name is Michaela. I am the bereavement program intern here at Near North Palliative Care Network. I know this has been a really difficult year for everyone, so we just wanted to take a moment and reflect on some of the good news stories that have happened over the past year. Before I begin, I would just like to acknowledge that the land I'm on today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe of Nipissing First Nation, covered on by the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850. So our first good news story. So a French nun who is Europe's oldest person has survived COVID-19 just days before her 117th birthday. So Sister Andre tested positive for COVID on the 16th of January, but she said she didn't develop symptoms, and she told local media that she didn't realize that she had it. So she's isolated separately, of course, from other residents in her retirement home in southern France, but is now fully recovered. And Sister Andre, who is blind and uses a wheelchair, is now looking forward to celebrating her birthday, although she's going to mark the occasion with a smaller group of residents than usual. So this is a story from BBC News as well. So at a hospital in Barcelona, medical staff have been wheeling out recovering COVID-19 patients to be closer to the ocean for short breaks. They've been doing this since the pandemic started in 2020, which I think nature and the ocean is just such a healing tool that we don't really think about. So very creative on the healthcare workers' part. So this story is from the New York Times. It says, Dr. Cornelia Vertenstein, a 92-year-old Holocaust survivor, has taught piano lessons at her Denver home for more than half a century. But when COVID swept in, most of her students were forced to stay home. So special concern was reserved for older adults, and Vertenstein was suddenly alone. Nevertheless, she insisted that the lessons would continue. So she took to calling the kids on their cell phones or using FaceTime on her iPad with the students' phones propped up so that she could see their hands. She held spring recitals, which she worried would have to be canceled. So she said, with great pride, I introduced my students who prepared themselves with discipline and determination in difficult circumstances. When I was a little girl, I couldn't go to public school because of my religion, and they created a little school in the basement of an old building, which sometimes had heat and sometimes didn't. Great minds and achievements came out of that school, which taught me in any situation, you can still strive, learn, look ahead, and have dreams. So very inspiring from Dr. Cornelia. So this is a local story from Bay Today. So it says, for over 20 years, the East Parry Sound Community Support Services programming has been helping seniors and persons with disabilities get to medical-related appointments in the Almaguin region. So there's 30 plus volunteer drivers who are involved with helping people get to their medical appointments. So the person who runs this, he said, with more people wanting to stay in their own homes and remain independent, but maybe not being able to drive any longer. That's where our volunteers come in. During COVID-19, the number of rides dropped down a bit, but the numbers have come back up, excuse me, to where they were prior to the pandemic. So this is one of the programs, those programs where it's only going to get busier, not quieter. One of their volunteers, she said, I've been here since 2002 and it's more than doubled since I've been here, the number of trips that they do. So they said it's not just local medical related trips either. Well, most of them are between North Bay and Huntsville. Some people need to see specialists as far as Sault Ste. Marie, London, Ottawa. So they have volunteers that do those kinds of distances as well. One of their volunteers said, I drive anywhere between London, Sault Ste. Marie, and Ottawa, adding that he likes to listen to the Escape channel on Sirius XM. He said, it's got really nice music, but my kids ask me how I don't fall asleep. So that's a great local program happening during COVID and before, but continuing. So also from Bay Today, so North Bay Municipal Heritage Committee has opened the 2021 Youth Engagement Photography Contest for youth 18 and under. So the goal of the contest is to encourage local youth to demonstrate what parts of North Bay culture and heritage are significant and meaningful to them. So entrants will be challenged to explain the significance of their photo to themselves and the community by way of a short paragraph. So a great way for youth to have kind of a creative and safe outlet during this time for sure. All right, so there should be a video here. Okay, so this is a Cookie Monster rock that was found this year. And the resemblance, I just couldn't help but share it. So let me know if you can hear it okay.
A rock recently discovered in Brazil could fetch more than $10,000 because it bears an uncanny resemblance to Sesame Street's Cookie Monster, according to reports. Split open, the volcanic rock is made up of blue quartz crystals with gaps that mirror the iconic cookie-loving character's round white eyes and gaping smile. Geologist Mike Bowers, who currently owns the unusual agate gemstone, told The Sun he has seen other similar rocks, but that this is probably the most perfect cookie monster out there. It is rare to find one so well-defined like this, he said. Bowers posted footage of the rock on his Facebook account this month and said he's since been offered $10,000 for it by 5 different buyers.
See, if I were him, I don't know if I would sell it. I think I would keep it. So, oops, I'll play again. All right. Can everyone see my slides? Okay. So some great news from the UK. Buckingham Palace announced that they will be opening their gardens to the public this summer, giving guests a chance to picnic and explore the Queen's official London residence with a self-guided tour. But you do have to pay. I'm not sure how much, but I imagine it is quite expensive probably. So from July to September, visitors will be free to wander through the gardens that encompass the 156-meter herbaceous border. There are plane trees planted by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, views of the glistening island lake, hives of buzzing bees, wildflower meadows, and the famous rose garden. So that will be a great thing for people in the UK this summer. So this is from a Reader's Digest article. So artist Dana Primrose Blode was looking for a way to brighten her neighbor's day during this tough time. So one morning she set up a white folding table in front of her townhouse and laid out dozens of woodblock prints of original art that she had created in her home studio. So next to the mixed media pieces, each of which was individually wrapped, she placed a sign that read, "Free art, take one." And throughout the day, From her window, she watched joggers run by and then loop back and select one of the 6 by 9 inch pieces. So moms pushing their children in strollers stopped by the table and left with a print. Observing the 6 foot rule, no one crowded the table. And she said that surprisingly, people were loving it more than I imagined. And I was happy to see people's excited reactions. So just one of the ways people are kind of brightening up their neighborhoods during this time. So Ontario Parks is offering free weekday Monday to Thursday day use from May 1st to September 1st. Day use permits will be required Fridays and on weekends. And demand for campsites at the provincially run campgrounds has skyrocketed this year. I'm not sure if they're open during the stay-at-home order, but I know this will come into effect once they do open. So at the end of February, the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks reported a 100% increase in reservation for parks across the province this year. So from January 1st to February 25th, there were 28,000 reservations for provincial parks in Northern Ontario. And during the same period this year, there were 40,000 reservations. So up quite a bit. Which is great. People are kind of finding their connection with nature that way. So, all right. And then restaurants. So we know just by looking wherever we live, how much of an impact the pandemic has had on our local restaurants. So in an article by Mike Plumley, he discusses the top 10 takeout innovations that restaurants have come up with over the course of the pandemic. So some of these are the heat and eat dishes. So some meals can't be easily packaged and certain foods will lose their heat or texture. So restaurants have adapted and created these meals that you can take with you and heat up when you get home and enjoy there. And then you've probably seen some hashtag movements. So hashtag takeout Tuesday, hashtag takeout takeover, hashtag carry out Wednesday. So people are kind of picking a day a week that they go and support a local restaurant. So great way to kind of get your business or small business out there. And then carry out cocktails. So alcoholic drinks are apparently 20 to 30% of a restaurant sales. So in light of this, many places have lifted their laws on alcohol delivery, allowing restaurants to serve sealed drinks to go. Also having creative carry out cocktail kits, take home margarita mix, things like that. So restaurants are really having to be creative in this time, and they've done that well. So Melanie, this is a story that's close to home for me. So Melanie, the owner of Dahlia Mayflower Farm, said that they announced their initiative to bring flowers to residents in local long-term care homes. So that's down in Trenton, Ontario, if you know where that is. And she said we could have never imagined how quickly it would take off. So 1 week and one CBC television feature later, they have delivered fresh jars of Ontario-grown flowers to over 189 seniors in local long-term care homes. And that was a few months ago, and I know they are still doing the program. So they've probably reached quite a few more people now. And Melanie, the owner, she said, I can't begin to tell you how much joy this initiative has brought to residents in local long-term care homes, to the staff in these homes, and to our staff and community partners as we work on this project. So local businesses and community partners have reached out, and through this program, local businesses have sponsored entire long-term care homes. So a great way to bring some joy into those places that are, really struggling and isolated right now. So this is an article from the Good News Network that says, when the pandemic hit in 2020, supply shortages quickly followed, and caught in the middle were the men and women responsible for transporting the goods in their trucks. So after viewing several news stories in which drivers detailed some of the harsh realities of trucking in COVID-19, like not being able to use restrooms or being forced to stay in their cabs for hours at a time after crossing the border, Beverly Perrin decided these unsung essential workers deserve some kudos. So Perrin and her husband began delivering batches of 75 to 100 personalized thank you cards every 3 to 4 weeks to a truck stop near their Chatham home in Ontario. And to date, they have sent out about 1,000 cards just saying thank you to our essential frontline truckers and things like that. So this is a business owner who delivered free meals for kids during COVID-19, and she was able to get some good karma from that. So I'll play this video for you.
I'm a big believer in community. People supporting people is the most important thing we can do. The world had just shut down. I started worrying about how all those kids that were only eating the breakfast program were going to get their nourishment in the day. I went and fed one housing complex a week to 4 housing complexes a week. I think for the kids, it was yes about the food, but also that little bit of normalcy. When she first started her business, she came to us, and from the ground up, we've been with her. Knowing Angela, she's just a selfless character. I reached out to Amelia at Peyton Decor Concepts, both TV small businesses. They said, hey, we need a plan for Angela for her outdoor seating. We're going to give her a huge surprise. Oh my God, this is amazing. Teeny, thanks you. Give me a surprise to make our community stronger. We want to make sure that they're able to do that comfortably and safely. So we want to provide you with a brand new patio for the breakfast room. It's nice to know after talking about community and coming full circle and to see something like this happen. It's amazing. Community is huge here in SU. We'll just continue to lift one another up.
Awesome. So that's just a great, good news story from Sault Ste. Marie. So this is an article from the Star that says, Miss Pickles, the 8-year-old pug with a sparkly personality and even sparklier outfits, bills herself as the world's first doggy drag queen. And she has over 43,000 Instagram followers due to her large personality. So life hasn't always been glitter and glamour. She is a 2-time survivor of mast cell cancer and once weighed more than 30 pounds, causing arthritis in her hips and difficulty breathing and walking. Over the pandemic, her owner was able to take her for a lot more walks and doggy physio. So she's now able to sashay a little easier, it says. And it says, the canine queen has the following advice for her fans: throw on a cute outfit and own the day. Never let anyone ruin your sparkle. So I thought that was just kind of a funny, good news story. So Canada joins the Global Ocean Alliance. So Canada is an ocean nation with the longest coastline in the world. So Canadians rely on healthy marine ecosystems to sustain our economy, our food supply, and our coastal communities. But the ocean is a shared resource that requires a global effort to ensure marine conservation. So the government of Canada is joining other countries to advocate for international action to see an increase in conservation and protection of our oceans by 2030. So the Global Ocean Alliance's goal that Canada has joined is to advocate with international partners for ambitious ocean action to protect at least 30% of the world's oceans through marine protected areas. So great news for our oceans and for our ecosystem. So one thing we know with the pandemic is that we have had so much time to invest in hobbies that we didn't have time for before. So this British couple spent lockdown tending to their garden, and the results are absolutely beautiful. So retired medical doctor Tony Newton and his wife Marie have nestled 3,000 plants and flowers, including 450 azaleas, 120 Japanese maples, and 15 blue star junipers into a 1/4 acre plot of land. I have another picture here. I'll just let you look. It's just stunning what they've done with such a small piece of land. So the time for hobbies has increased for sure for many of us. And then Canadians desperate for new holiday adventures this summer will soon have some fresh options. So it could seem surprising given the surge in current COVID-19 cases, but a number of tourist attractions across the country are getting ready to open their doors for the first time in 2021. So the District Wine Village in BC's Okanagan Valley is opening in June. In Nova Scotia, new owners of the Cape Smoky Ski Hill are completing the first stage of a $100 million revamp to create an all-season resort. A new gondola that's going to open July 1st, hopefully. And in downtown Toronto, a unique attraction called Little Canada will soon be selling tickets to see a miniature version of the country. So the owner of that said, the country's too big to build all at once, even in miniature size. So we are opening with 5 destinations and scaled down models of Niagara Falls, Toronto, Ottawa, Ontario's Golden Horseshoe area, and Quebec will be ready this summer with more to come in the future. So basically it's like this little walk through miniature version of Canada. It's pretty neat. You can just, there's tons of pictures of it online. So this story is from the site COVID Kindness. So as soon as Ashley Chapman, vice president of Chapmans Ice Cream, learned that the Pfizer vaccine must be stored in temperatures below -70 degrees Celsius, he started looking for a freezer that would fit the bill. So as an ice cream company that has been in the business for many years, Chapman has useful contacts in the freezer business. Chapman's parents, who started the business 47 years ago, had signed on to be part of Canada's pandemic response plan in the 80s. And the family has known since then that if called upon, they would offer their facilities as storage for a nationwide vaccine distribution program. The company's new freezers are expected to arrive soon, and Dr. Ian, Chief Medical Officer for the Grey Bruce Health Unit, has confirmed that they are working with the company on vaccine storage. Chapman is happy to be doing something to help healthcare professionals during this time, he said. So this is an article from CTV News that says, like so many Canadians, young and old, 8-year-old Sophie has had enough of the COVID-19 pandemic. She misses hugging her friends and family members and can't wait until she can do it again safely. But she wasn't content with just waiting patiently. So inspired by the story of Terry Fox, she wanted to do something tangible to help speed up the end of the crisis. So she started baking cupcakes, and not just any cupcakes, but triple chocolate Oreo cupcakes, each topped with a tiny cookie. And with her mom's help, Sophie sold boxes of 4 cupcakes for $10 each. And as of a few days ago, so this was a few months ago, she's managed to double her initial goal of $1,000 and donated almost $2,000 to the Ottawa Hospitals Foundation COVID-19 Emergency Response Fund. So that funding goes straight to health researchers who are working to find treatments and other ways to fight the pandemic. And Sophie said that the first thing that she wants to do when the pandemic is over is go to her family and give them a huge, ginormous hug, which is probably something we can all relate to right now. So this is a story from CBC News that says healthcare workers have made so many sacrifices to keep us safe throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, including personal sacrifices. So Hamilton family physician Dr. Michael Galea works at a COVID-19 assessment center and spends his days swabbing people for the virus. So he's been staying 2 meters apart from others and including his mom, who works in long-term care. And when his clinic was asked to administer the Pfizer vaccine to frontline workers earlier this month, he realized that his mom would be one of the recipients and asked to work that shift so that he could give her the shot. It was the first time since the start of the pandemic that he's been up close to his mom. And he says it was incredibly meaningful to touch her shoulder and to be able to provide her with a little bit of immunity against COVID-19. Dr. Glia added that he hopes it gives people more confidence in the vaccine to see a doctor administer it to a patient. So great that they were reunited that way. So I know this pandemic has been probably the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my life, and for a lot of people, because it just almost affects every aspect of our lives. And sometimes it isn't helpful to think about positive things, and it can feel like we aren't acknowledging and validating all of the loss that has come along with this pandemic. But it's actually become a good way for me to cope, to find the good news stories, and to remind myself that there are good things in the world and good people and good stories. So I would encourage you to reflect on your own good news stories. Some of the things that we've discussed here in the office are spending more time with family because of working from home. When I was home when the pandemic first hit last year, my family and I started playing Settlers of Catan every single night, which is the game here, which if you don't know, it's like a 2-hour game. So a lot of time. We've been meeting people from literally all over the world because of these virtual platforms like Zoom. And also we have an appreciation, understanding of what our families or spouses do for work now. So I would encourage you to look at things that have been good news stories over the past year for you, and reflect on them, and focus on those things too, among kind of this chaos that we're in. So thank you everyone for listening. And if anyone has any questions, I'll just open up the chat bar if anyone has anything. All right, perfect. So thank you everyone for coming, and yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Take care.